Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Madeline Edlin, Product Marketing Manager for Equitable Food Initiative, or EFI. Today, I am joined by Lulu Rivera, EFI's Training Manager, to talk over a few quick and easy tools to building a highly engaged workforce. Our time today is going to be really short, but we're going to leave you with additional tools and resources to dig in further. So welcome, everybody, and welcome, Lulu. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. We will jump right in. First question about fostering respectful and inclusive workplaces. Can you define what a respectful and inclusive workplace might look like?
Yes. Better than defining, I think it's best to describe it. I think a respectful and inclusive workplace is one that fosters an environment where people feel valued, respected, where employees are addressed by their preferred names, where diversity is valued and acknowledged, where everyone collaborates towards the same goals, everyone is facing in the same direction. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later in this seminar. And also where people is motivated to be their best selves. Yeah, I think that's how I envision like if a respectful workplace. I think that it has to include people, and it has to include what they need and who they are, and include them in all the aspects of the organization, not only in their tasks, but also in decision making, in the problem solving, those kinds of areas. Yeah.
If you could equip an agricultural company with one key takeaway, would that be it? Is involving people in these decisions, or would it be a
Yeah.
little different?
No, definitely. I think involving people is the basic fundamental aspect that we need to take into consideration, because it has to do with diversity, it has to do with inclusion, which are really top of mind these days. It has to do with clear communication, with communicating clear work structures and daily practices, and clear internal policies that reflect the values of the organization. It has to do with the culture we're building, and we would like to see respectful cultures in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So pivoting slightly into health and safety, what different aspects of worker health and safety are important to keep top of mind?
It's interesting because when we talk about health and safety, we could be talking about very practical things like machinery safety or pest management safety, but I think it goes beyond that. And what is really important is that it has to do with what we're just talking about, with inclusion. Like, how are we managing problems? How are we solving problems in the organization? How are we protecting our workers in our organization, and how we are communicating that? Are people aware of what are the rights and what are the protections in their workplaces to keep them safe? Because they might exist, but not necessarily they are known and socialized in the workplace. So I think that the most important part of worker health and safety is communication and it's inclusion.
Yeah.
So everyone knows what is expected from them, but also what they should employer.
Have you seen anything in your many years on different operations? And you talked about workers knowing what those protocols or seeing them. They might exist, but they might not know about it. Have you seen any really cool examples of how different organizations are making sure that their workers know about their policies and their different views on worker health and safety?
Yes, definitely. we build leadership teams in EFI. For anyone that is listening to this webinar and doesn't know too much about what we do at EFI. So part of what we do is building cross-sectional leadership teams, and that means that there's representation of all aspects of the company, work areas, but also demographically.
Yeah.
So part of what builds an operation is the people, is the cultures that are there and the languages that are there. Sometimes you can have an organization that their main languages are Spanish and English, let's say, but when you do a deep dive into the people that build that organization, you have a lot of other languages that are spoken and that are communicated. So there's a leadership team that realized that even though they were communicating their policies and their trainings in Spanish, which everyone spoke Spanish, they realized that people were not understanding them because they have native tongues that they brought. These were oh my God, these were workers that came from other areas in Mexico.
Yeah.
And they spoke other natives. What I started doing was translating all the signage in the company in their native tongues.
Mhm.
They had people in the leadership team that were able to translate and interpret meetings in those languages, let's say Zapotec or Mixteco or
Yeah.
whichever other language it is. So people are aware and understands, because one thing is that you give someone an attendance sheet and say, yes, that person attended to this
Yeah,
training. And
yeah.
another thing is that they understood that training.
Yes.
So that is a great example of how you can use communication to ensure worker protections and safety.
Beautiful. And that pivots beautifully into our next topic, which is continuous improvement. I mean, that story not only ensures worker health and safety, but is an example of an operation who is committed to continuous improvement and being better every day. So I love the story. So give me one more. If you could pick one example of your favorite continuous improvement story, what would that be?
There's another company. Sometimes I think that talking about continuous improvement continuous improvement can be something very daunting because it sounds like big and huge.
Yeah.
But they are very small things that can happen that can bring a lot of change. So there's this company that they had trailers to move apples when they are harvested, and people walk with beans of apples to the trailer and they remove the empty beans to fill them up.
Yeah.
So there were always people around these trailers.
Mhm.
And the drivers of the trailers have to look both ways to make sure that there was no one around when they were moving the trailer.
Yeah.
But they realized that when the driver did the second look, there were people that were coming on, to the side that he looked first.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So and accidents could happen. So what they did was to give whistles to the drivers, so they can blow the whistle, and everyone around in the perimeter of that trailer knew that the trailer is going to move, so they stopped and didn't approach the trailer. So something so small as a whistle can bring many changes. But that doesn't limit itself to just blowing a whistle. It's the process to get there.
That's right.
What you do to the pollution with a simple whistle. So I think it's a very interesting way of looking at continuous improvement.
Yeah, and just it's a easy few dollar whistle, it's not a big, huge, you're overhauling something that's been in place for years. It's a slight change. It takes no time and very little resources to implement. That's a great story.
Definitely. And I have to mention that those ideas lay there in the field with workers.
Yeah.
And with people that are directly facing those main issues, and people are very creative. They have the knowledge. We just miss it because we don't ask questions.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that communication and collaboration is so important in continuous improvement.
Tapping into those resources that are there and just asking those questions. And again, you segued me beautifully into my next question, which is around communication. And why is thinking about communication and continuously building our communication skills important?
Because communication is the backbone of every business.
Mhm.
We are constantly communicating what we need to do, communicating what we expect from people. But if we don't do it efficiently, we are not going to be aware of the barriers that communication is facing. So we can have the best policies and procedures in place, but people don't know them or don't understand them, or we build them 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they are not relevant anymore because our business has changed.
Yeah.
So it takes the time. Being efficient communicating means that you need to take the time to take a step back, hit pause, and look, where are those barriers? Where do I need to improve communication? Do I need to improve the way I'm listening to people? Do I need to improve the way I'm sending messages?
Yeah.
And then work together to find ways on clear those barriers and ensure that that we are all facing the same ways. If we don't communicate our goals, if we don't communicate our expectations, we are going to be facing in any sort of directions, because organizations are built of many mini universes. Each area is their own unit. We are not aware of what is happening there. We are going to be miscommunicating constantly. So that's why it's important to identify the barriers, clear them out, and establish the right mechanisms to ensure that the information both ways is getting where it has to go. Yeah.
I think that pause is such a powerful thing, and something that we don't do in our daily lives or in a more strategic big picture view too. Is we're so busy, we're doing the thing, it's agriculture, it's produce, we got to keep moving, and hitting that pause button is so key and can create such change down the road and efficiencies down the road too, rather than doing something that we've done for 15, 20 years.
Definitely. Sometimes we think about pausing and we just think about the time we're losing, and time is money, right?
Yeah.
But we are missing the piece of the time we're saving in the future.
Exactly.
And that is going to translate in efficiencies, in productivity, in more knowledge, more engaged workers. It's known, and there's clear statistics about engaged workers mean loyalty, mean motivated workers, means that they are going to be more committed to the goals of the organization, but they need to feel included. And how do you include them? By communicating with them clearly and collaborating with them.
Yeah, I mean, think about an engaged worker and the lack of turnover. I mean, that alone, the time and resource save for an organization just from having a loyal workforce and not having to deal with a high turnover rate is amazing.
Definitely. And also, something that I wanted to mention before about continuous improvement, that is the importance of training. Because one of the key aspects of continuous improvement is the need to keep training workers. Sometimes workers get trained their first day when they are new hires, and they don't get any more training. Training is really important. It's really important to keep training our workers. And a worker that stays with you is an asset, because they have the proper training, they have the knowledge, they build on their expertise, they build on their skills, And it takes a lot of time and money to keep someone with that kind of preparation to stay with you. So why not invest in our employees and see them as assets to the organization by improving our the structures that are built around um, how we work with them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Lulu. I love it. And thank you for all of those insights. That was incredibly quick, but I feel like really tangible takeaways for people to think about and mold, even if it's in the back of somebody's head on the daily basis.
Mhm.
Beautiful. I know you have been facilitating a few seminars and courses to dive deeper into all of these topics that we've covered. So if you want to talk about our 1 hour seminars, we have 3 left for the remainder of the fall catalog. Can you tell me about those?
Yes. We have, as you mentioned, 3 more seminars for the fall catalog of 2024. We're gonna be talking about collaboration and continuous improvement, worker health and safety. From that collaboration piece also, and I have to mention that even though these are 1 hour seminars, they are very practical seminars.
Very.
So when you join our seminars, come ready to participate and to work, because part of our methodology is engaging the participants in their own learning process.
Right.
So these are not seminars just to sit down and listen to and hear. If they are made for you to listen and participate. So that's really important. And the last one for the fall is fostering respectful workplaces, where we do a deeper dive on what is needed to build those spaces.
Yeah, beautiful. And you can register for those on our website, equitablefood.org. You can buy all of the seminars in a pack, and then you get a discount, and you'll also get a recording of past seminars, which is beautiful. And then we have a new course. Well, it's not new, but it's new to companies who are not EFI certified, and that's our facilitation course or internal training certification course, depending on where you are of what you call it. And so that's a 2-parter, and that's way more of a deep dive. So tell me more about that one.
Yeah, this is a very practical course as well. We are faced in the industry, as we were mentioning before, with a very diverse workforce. And part of what we want to do with this course is to train people to engage with adult learners. We tend to see education as something very general, like all education is the same, but you don't teach a children the same way you teach an adult.
For sure.
And it's really important when we think about training our employees to think of them as adult learners. And to that, we also add our methodology of popular education, where we take into consideration the diversity of the group, and not only the cultural diversity, but there are also literacy challenges or skills, the diversity of skills in the room. So it's really important to build engaging learning spaces through engaging a diverse workforce. And we provide techniques and strategies to be more inclusive in the training room, and also provide facilitation skills, because it's not the same thing to train than to facilitate. And we work on what is the difference between training and facilitating. What we are looking for in the facilitation room is mostly people share their own knowledge and build something together, and move towards the same goals, but taking the expertise of the people in the room, rather than just me sitting here giving you all the information and feeding you with my knowledge.
Right.
We build that knowledge together. So that's going to be the first part of that first part of the facilitation course. And then the second part is focused on those people that want to become EFI internal trainers. Certified EFI internal trainers support leadership teams and companies with their certification. That means that they help train on the standards, they help train on the certification process, but also they also help their leadership teams and the company in general to build interpersonal skills to
Mhm.
be able to work together toward compliance.
Amazing.
So that's the second part. That one is more focused for already certified growers or companies, but also those who are interested in become certified, EFI
That's right.
certified.
Because if an operation was interested in becoming EFI certified and they sent somebody to both of those courses, part 1 and part 2, they become an EFI certified trainer,
Yes,
and then they could potentially down the road train with you their own leadership team on their road to becoming EFI certified.
yes. And that means savings.
Yeah, that means savings, exactly.
Yes.
You're not paying for 2 EFI staff, you're paying
Yes.
for 1 to
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
usually our leadership team training is facilitated by 2 people.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very important for us to model collaboration when we do the training. So it's if someone is trained to become an internal trainer, then that co-facilitation happens between the EFI facilitator and the certified internal trainer.
I'll bet it's a rich experience for the operation and the internal trainer. That's beautiful.
It's a great experience, not only in terms of professional development, but also as a personal development. The reviews and the feedback we have gotten from already certified internal trainers is really positive in terms of how they are engaging better in their workplace, but also in their personal lives with their families and
Amazing.
friends. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that kicks off the first part of December. Again, you can find the exact dates and the registration link on our website.
Yeah, the second part kicks off at the beginning of December, but the first part, Facilitation 101, starts in November.
Thank you for the,
So yes,
appreciate
go
it.
visit our webpage and you can see all the event dates and we're gonna continue adding more things there for next year. So keep an eye on it.
For sure. Well, thanks again, Lulu. It was absolutely wonderful to talk through these quick and easy tools to implement in your organization, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.